Well, folks, here we are. Welcome to episode 12 of Rushcast, the show where we are going through the entire Rush back catalogue, one album at a time, solo albums and side projects included. I'm Joe. It's the Nightmare Cabin, you know me, and as ever, I'm joined by my illustrious, what's the word? I'm trying to. What did he used to call Robin? But you're not Robin. I don't.
I'm not. Well,
we're even keel on this. But
yeah.
I'm joined as ever by my good friend Paul Conroy, drummer extraordinaire of Audioscope, as well as pretty much every cover band in the Billericay area. How are you, Paul? We've had a bit of a break.
Yes, we've had a bit of a break. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, Joe. Are you good? Are you doing well?
I'm doing all right. I'm bearing under the strain, hanging on in quiet desperation, which is the English way.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, I'm enjoying being in my little cabin here. I've got some beers, so while the country takes an absolute battering,
yeah,
I'm glad to be resuming Rushcast and talking about the next album.
Yeah.
So, this is episode 12. So we are talking about Hold Your Fire. I guess I'll start off the way I always do. Paul, you were there when this came out. What did you think at the time? What was the what was the word on the street?
Wow, that's an original way of asking me. Yeah, I think it's the same as always. It was not knowing what to expect. And that sort of excitement for it coming out, and I think more eagerly awaited, I guess, because this album was released virtually 2 years after Power Windows, because the release date, according to what I've got in front of me, was 8th of September 1987, whereas Power Windows was, I think it was October 1985, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, yeah. So 2 years, which for Rush was probably pretty much unheard of. It was always a case of, it was always around about a year to 18 months between albums and tours. But this time it was a little bit longer. So I suppose, and cheers. I'm afraid I've got me water, but I could say it's vodka, but it's not. But yeah, it was, I think, because of the time.
Or is it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. It might be. You never know. Depends how my speech goes. If it gets slurred, I'll blame it. It was as always just eagerly anticipated, and more so because of the time lapse, as I said. It was an interesting. I think the first time I listened to this, I thought, well, again, it's different. It's still part of the electronic, but I think it's more like an addendum to the electronic. I think Power Windows definitely was the culmination of electronic. This, although it's still bathed in keyboards, this particular album, it's softer, it's a poppier, jazzier album.
Yeah, but I think the keyboards on this are more of like a sprinkling of salt. They're more of a finish, aren't they, rather than a real integral.
Yeah, but they still
here and there.
But they still take that mid-range. They still take that centre ground, and to the point where you see or you hear Alex sort of disappears a bit, doesn't he? Sort of off to one side and round the corner on some of this.
There were times when I did think, I don't know where Alex is. This song could just be bass and drums,
Yeah. So
or
that
drum and bass.
Yeah.
But not that drum and bass.
Yeah, not that sort of drum and bass. I think in that respect, I mean, as I've said before, I'm one of those ones who was always interested to hear what they were going to come up with next. I think for a lot of hardened fans, I think, again, it was a bit of a disappointment, this album, because the guitar wasn't to the front, to the fore. Although, again, there are some great, and we've said it on every album, really, there are some great bits of playing on this. And of course, this is the first album, and I think I'll just make sure I get this completely correct, is that, well, the predecessor, the Power Windows, was the first Rush album to be released directly to CD. This one, Hold Your Fire, was the first to take advantage of the longer running time. Now available.
Oh, we're in that period of the band,
Yes,
are we? Every
yeah,
band of a certain
which and hence it's at this point this was the longest album that they'd made, and it comes in at just over 50 minutes. Having said that, I have got the big print version. I have got it on vinyl, but the runoffs are it's absolute maximum that you can get on a vinyl. But of course with CD, yeah, exactly. So and it took advantage of the longer running time, but it says here because it's got 10 tracks, being the longest studio album, it necessarily led to the band to include material that they would have probably cut from a normal vinyl album. And it says here, and arguably reduces the overall quality of the finished product. And we'll go on to discuss this anyway. I'm sure you've got your own views on this and what you think of it. It did attain gold status, this album, but the sales of this were initially modest. And it says here, it was the least successful Rush album since Hemispheres.
Right, yeah, because
unusual.
You got this quite often with some bands, and well, mostly bands, but it seems now to be with films where the latest film or the latest album is unpopular and the band is left there scratching his head going, well, I don't see what's so unpopular about it. It's sold really well. So, yeah, because people went and bought it.
Yeah.
And when they got it home, or when they went into the cinema and sat and watched the film, they thought it was shit. Like, you can't be complete. They bought it because they liked everything that came before, not because they thought it was good. They didn't know it was good until they bought it, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do think. I think we're into this the part of a back catalogue where people like to complain, but at the same time, many a band would like to have the luxury of getting here. I think we're going to discuss.
I think so. Yeah.
Another big thing as well, though, is many a bands that have gone over a certain period, over 10 years, say, for example, a lot of them suffered with good intentions. The idea was, oh, look, this CD, we could fit an hour and a half music, so we can put loads of music on there. We're not restricted anymore. And yeah, the intention was there. But I mean, when Iron Maiden put out the X Factor, they sold it as a double album. It's like, yeah, we've made a double album. We've never done a double album before. This is a double album on a disc. It's great. But yeah, all of these albums, though, were stodgy, bloated. All of them could have done with either a couple of less songs or all the songs being a minute shorter.
Yeah.
There was a lot of albums from this time suffered from that, didn't they? They were all too long.
Yeah.
And I think the band that suffered for it the most was Marillion. That band were, well, I think even now, really. But yeah, I think Marillion are in desperate need of an editor. Need someone to go, you don't need that. Trim that down. And, you know, but yeah, but here we are. That's the 90s for you, folks.
Well,
we're not even in the 90s yet,
no,
are we?
It's towards the late 80s. So, of course, the innovation of the CD and this new technology and being able to cram so much more. I dare say and probably the same with, not just with Rush, but with many bands, they thought, well, if we're putting more music on, people are getting more value for money.
Yeah, exactly. The intention was there.
Yeah, but the intention was definitely there, as you said. Excuse me. But in doing that, have they just spread themselves a little bit too thinly, and the quality has gone down, perhaps even the integrity? Would you say the integrity perhaps of some of the bands has sort of been compromised because of this? And whether the bands were sort of encouraged to put more on by the powers that be, I don't know. I dare say it's different from one band.
I think you'd have to do that on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think it was the case with Rush. I just think
I don't think there's we'll get once we get into it. I think there's problems with this album, but the fact that it's 50 minutes isn't something that I'm particularly bothered by.
No, I think it's because they've gone beyond what they're used to doing at this point. Possibly they might have just, in that respect, perhaps just slightly overreached themselves in that respect with regards to workload. I think, have you got anything on this album yourself from any of your sources?
The book I'm reading didn't really have much to say about it. Nothing that I don't think we're gonna nothing that can interject into what that's gonna steer our conversation. It was pretty much, I agreed with pretty much everything in it.
Okay.
But I did come across an article for Spin magazine.
Okay.
Or it's the website Spin, and they've got a series of articles called Band Jury.
Okay.
And I'll just read you the Welcome to Band Jury, a Spin series in which artists defend Black Sheep albums they feel deserve another listen.
Okay.
These are projects that, for whatever reason, middling sales, negative reviews, a misunderstood stylistic change, have fallen slightly out of fashion or perhaps never reached it to begin with. So this is an artist called Angel McLeod, I think that is Angel McLeod, a multi-instrumentalist and producer, as well as singer and songwriter. I've not heard her music, but I'm sure she's very talented and the best at what she does in her field. But yeah, she is defending Hold Your Fire.
Right, okay.
And says in the article as well that she did grow up with Rush albums. So, well, there's one particular song that we can get into when we come to it.
Okay.
But yeah, this was a good little article. And Decibel magazine, which is predominantly, well, it is a metal magazine, has a similar thing called Justify Your Shitty Taste. And basically, yeah, it's the
that's a catchy title.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same thing. That we're going to get that album. Every band has one. Again, it's nice to have the luxury of making that album that divides opinion, but yeah, they reassess it, and generally speaking, it's it's Justify Your Shitty Taste. So it's actually someone going, actually, no, this album's really good.
Okay.
One in particular, thinking of it, was I'm just trying to find. Yeah, here we go. Was Slayer, Diablo Musica.
Okay, yeah.
Where he says one of the biggest things it says is that it was a nu metal album. Nu metal was like the it's a period metalers don't like to remember, but they say it's a nu metal album. He says, well, if it was a nu metal album, it was one of the best ones. You know, that sort of angle. Right. Someone defends the Blaze Bailey era of Maiden in there, but
okay.
But yeah, I like that subject. I think it's quite easy to have a controversial opinion, and music fans love having controversial opinions, and they just pull them out of the air just to look cool. And it's so easy to go, God, that's crap. What you think that's a good album? You think that band are good? That's overrated. You know? And it's just like, well, okay. And
Yeah.
It's easy just to put on the table and just go, meh, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's much more. I'm much more interested in someone going, no, actually, that album's really good, and I'm going to tell you why. And the person defending an album that's generally held in low,
Yeah, held with contempt and
they
maligned. Yeah,
far more passion defending it and making a case for it than the
right.
other person saying,
Yeah,
I don't know, what's a Guns N' Roses Appetite Destruction's overrated. You know,
right. Okay.
probably is. But and they'll go, oh, you know, there was another band from LA that didn't get anywhere, and that album was actually better, and they nicked all of this band's riffs, and it's just and that's another real that's a real when someone says, oh, they nicked this riff and that riff, it's just well, we can play this game all day, can't we? You know, there's only strings on a guitar.
Yeah, exactly. There are only so many chords, etc., etc. Plagiarism accusations are all over the place.
I mean, we've gone off on one now, but this is where are all these court cases that are kicking off now? It's like The Who addressed it in the song, the opening track of their latest album, All This Music Will Fade, is about that, and it's quite a good line in it. I don't care if people want to steal my song. I'd be lying if I was an angel all along, or something like that. Like, it's basically saying, "Oh, I've nicked a few. I can't complain if someone nicks a couple."
Exactly.
But I think Ed Sheeran as well was recently. Someone's tried.
Oh yeah, that was quite a high.
But he took a guitar into the cult and said, "Well, I've been accused of doing these 4 chords," and he played those 4 chords, and over those 4 chords, sung 12 different songs.
Yeah.
Over those 4 chords, it says, "Well, again, like I said, we could do this all day, can't we? You know, where do you draw the line?" Yeah.
So, what does this?
Should we get into the album?
Yeah.
I don't even know where I've.
Yeah, I was saying about somebody.
Yeah, so there's this article. So this artist is defending "Hold Your Fire." They've had a soft spot for it all this time, and she makes some good points. So, are
you going to bring them up as we go through?
I think probably, yeah.
Okay.
It starts off as a bit of an article, and then it kind of becomes an interview. I'm trying to figure out where one begins and.
I think, well, that's fine. We've got plenty of sort of chew over on this one. I'll just say there's a couple of lines here. It says here, "Hold Your Fire" generally features strong melodies and arguably the finest voice Lee has ever been in. The pop-centered production and heavy use of synthesizers was another disappointment, as I'd shared earlier, who wanted a rock record. With regards to, as well as the multiple meanings of the album's title, Peart has little to be criticised for in relation to this album. In fact, it is perhaps the most thematically strong of any Rush album to date, with each song having a close lyrical relationship to its predecessor. That's what it says here. So, and that's how it leaves it open before we go into the songs in this book anyway. So I'm ready to kick off if you are. And we start with the first one.
Yeah, let's do it. Right, so what is the first song called? Yeah,
False 10.
False 10, yes, of course. I do like the way this this is a good album opener. This is
I think so, yeah. I agree.
You know, you got some pretty big calls, and then I like that. You know, it's it's a good lively number. It's a good I could see this being a good concert opener as well. And I mean, it's not particularly great, but it sets the tone.
Yeah, it does. It does, this one. I don't know if you've got any other comments with regards to that. this particular song. Yeah, I agree with you. It comes in. I mean, you've got this very much like electronic beginning with samples, sort of bringing it in with the drums and a choral, like block called of choral choir. It's a really an interesting opening, but I love the way it just goes into that moving beat. It's a lot of snare work, and then you've got the bass guitar that basically is playing the lead on it before Lifeson comes in with a strong,
yeah.
But it's good. But this song almost never made it onto the album. This was very much a last minute addition to the album, and not because of the lack of the quality of it, but it just said it was almost the fact that it was almost not written, and it came during the last day of pre-production. And Peter Collins, who was again the producer of this, as he was Power Windows, suggested that they write another song to basically just sort of balance up the sides with regards to the album, like vinyl album. And Peart had done a newly finished lyric, and Leon Lifeson quickly composed the music for this song.
Funny, that's always where the gold seems to be.
Yeah.
Can you just quickly write a new one just to fill some space?
Yeah, it was
funny. We talk about filler, but it always seems to be the fillers that
definitely.
Gold. I mean, prime example: Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
Yeah, indeed. But, so it was interesting with regards to that, because I didn't know that. I thought because it doesn't come across as something that's been rushed through, does it? So if you excuse the pun. But it sounds very purposeful to me, the way they've put this together. You know, it doesn't sound like it's just sort of just been chucked together. It's quite coherent, and it moves and it goes somewhere. So
I think as well. I think my James Bond analogy works quite well with this as well, because I sort of oversimplified it really when I commented a minute ago about, there is quite a lot of synthesizers thrown in there as well. It does sort of pause, and it does go off on on a few different tangents before coming back to its sort of center at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a good opener, an opener that will give you a brief summary of what's to come, and then we properly open on the second song.
Yeah.
So, like I've said before, I said it a bunch of times on this channel, an opening song should be like the first 5 minutes of the James Bond film. The James Bonds always would open with a 5-minute sort of mini film.
Yeah, it's almost like a prologue. Yeah.
Yeah, before
going into it.
The plane takes off, or the parachute opens, and then the opening credits, and then we get the actual film.
Yeah.
And I think that's how an album opener should be, and I do think this does serve as that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. The comment on this with regards to the lyrics, it was another collaboration between Peart and Pi Du Bois, who's they've worked together for Tom Sawyer. And it says here, as with their previous collaboration, Du Bois initially sent Peart a poem that he then adapted and added for the purposes of the lyric. It says here, while Du Bois's eccentricity is identifiable in the finished lyric, the song is clearer and more conventional than in his previous collaboration with the band, i.e. Tom Sawyer. I wasn't sure about why it was called False 10. Have you got anything about this? I mean, I can explain.
No, go ahead.
But here we go. It says here, the song takes its name from the Beaufort windfall scale, which in fact rises to a stronger but perhaps less aesthetically pleasing false 12. The song alludes to persistent metaphorical storms that affect all of us. While it is somewhat ambiguous, the suggestion seems to be that one can respond to life's storms in numerous ways, but that rather than taking cover, one can ride the wind and live life with a joie de vivre. Sorry, Del Boy French again.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's which is an interesting view. So that's why it was called Falls 10. They thought it sounded better than Falls 12, but it's all to do with storms, and so there we go. That answered my question, because I'd always wondered why, and there we go. Yeah, it says here, after the sampled, it's a sampled pneumatic drill and laughter with the electronic pads. That brings it in. It says here, Lee's bass provides the opening theme to the song, inspired by his friend, fellow bassist Jeff Berlin. Jeff Berlin is...
It sounds like it could be a good soundtrack to a race. So I think if you've got like a card race, or
definitely.
Someone needs to be somewhere and they're up against the clock in something, it could be used in a film some way.
But I can see... the bassist Jeff Berlin, I mean, he's done all sorts of things, but I remember him from being in Bruford, and I actually see them play live, and he's a very good bass player, but I didn't know that they were friends, Geddy Lee and him. And there we go. He said inspired by his friend Jeff Berlin, and Harry played the bass. Lee makes the unusual decision to incorporate plenty of bass chords into his playing throughout the song, and now taking over the parts of bass guitar and rhythm guitar, with all these synthesizers and sequenced keys that are coming in. We should say something about that as well. Once again, additional musicians. You got Andy Richards again doing additional keyboards, and also synth programming sequencers. Andy Richards and Jim Burgess, who have worked with Geddy Lee a few times, and notably on the previous album. We don't have to talk about where it was recorded. They used, again, a variety of studios and various locations again, but we can talk about that more at the end if you like.
Yeah, okay. Should we move on then to Time Stands Still?
Yeah, I'd say I don't think I've got any other... If you've got no other comments about this. Oh, there is one thing on here. I forgot to mention this. In Falls 10, Peart subtly pays homage to the female Rush fans, of whom there appear to be a disproportionately small...
seven of them.
Yeah, just disproportionately small number in relation to their male counterparts. The line "cool and remote like dancing girls" was referred to by Peart in his book Roadshow, which I've never read. It says here, I always love to see females in the audience singing along, or air drumming, or even dancing. However, given the complexity and constant changes in our music, even their dancing had to be absorbed in the music, no mindless twitching to a metronomic beat. In our song Falls 10, I had expressed my appreciation for that absorption. So there you go.
Who'd have thought? Yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
Geddy Lee's always having to avoid the knickers being thrown at him.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. But there you go. Sorry, that was just an aside. I've thought, I must mention that. But there you go. So that's a big shout out from the great Peart. May he rest in peace, to all the female fans.
Funnily enough, right, I've got we're going on one minute.
Oh right, are we? Okay.
Put your seatbelt on.
Okay.
I keep looking at my hair in this thing. I don't know. I look like David Lynch. I've got this big... I need a... Yeah. You'd have to have that problem, wouldn't you, Paul?
No, I don't. Yeah. I just worry about the light bouncing off of my head. But, that's a big problem.
I share this show in a bunch of Rush groups on Facebook. This fan group and this club and this thing. Rush. So share. There's a photo of Geddy Lee, and it's like he's in his garden, and it's done the rounds on all of them. Someone shared it, and everyone shared it.
Right.
Geddy Lee looks like he's in his garden. It's not like a thingy photo. It's just like, hey, Dad's in the garden, mowing the lawn, whatever, and he's got no shirt on.
Right.
Geddy Lee is ripped. And everyone's gone, where did that come from? Who'd have thought? Like, and I mean, he is like looks like from the neck down. He's
Right.
who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe those women in the audience were onto something.
Maybe they
can
were.
spot it. Yeah,
maybe they were.
but no, Geddy Lee works out.
Well, I dare say they have to look after themselves, don't they? Obviously, I think, yeah. I mean, Geddy was never ever, he was never ever a slob at any point, was he?
No, but look, what I'm saying is, like, the way he's standing there, he looks tasty. Like, he looks like he'd knock you out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you go, what you were talking about, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't think there was any comments about the lyrics or anything. I mean, again, it's just a good standard set of lyrics again throughout this, really. But anyway, let's carry on.
Yeah, I'll give you something to talk about. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, time stands still. This is going to be a long show. I was thinking, actually, I think we're going to. This is pretty straightforward. This album, we're just going to breeze for it. No, not on this show, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Time stands still is one of my.
Time will stand still.
Yeah, time will stand still. Here we go. Time Stands Still is one of my all-time favourite Rush songs. I absolutely adore this song for sentimental reasons. I think it's just a well-crafted song. It's a perfect radio single. And, you know, Neil Peart is one of the best, well, I'll say, if he isn't the best drummer in the world, you know, show me who's better than him. And I can say, if he's not your favourite drummer, he is your favourite drummer's favourite drummer. But he's also one of the best lyricists in the world. And he really hits the nail here. And I think he nails something that not a lot of songwriters go near. And I think, well, the chorus alone says it all. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to
look around me. Yeah.
And I think so often we don't recognize a good time, a real good moment, a really good day until it's already gone and we look back. And every so often you get given a gift where you do recognize it in the moment and you just want to take a step back and just soak it all in and just go, no, it's good. And especially being English, because English people aren't happy very often because we're not vulgar. And was it Morrissey that said I would never do anything as vulgar as have fun? But you know, we do get suspicious when we really do catch ourselves having fun and you go, oh my God, I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm actually happy.
Yeah, there must be something wrong with me.
Yeah, something terrible must happen any minute now because I can't possibly be caught being happy. But that's what this captures, and it's I think I'm gonna use a line from this article, which isn't. It's not talking about this song,
right?
But it is a. They say it is corny, but it's sincere, and this song is sincere. I think if you played to this song in a certain surroundings, maybe to a certain type of person, they go, ugh. But no, it's a serious, sentimental, in the best possible way, lyric subject. But with that, that doesn't mean anything because this has still got a great hook, a perfectly crafted song, great drums, great, rhythm and big hooks. And again, great use of keyboards. I love that. The use of the female vocals, Amy Mann. I think that she suits that bit perfectly. There was no way Geddy could have done that. That they needed a woman to sing that part. But no, I think this song is a gem, an absolute gem, and it has the worst music video in
good
music
grief!
video
Yes, it
history.
has. Yes,
I honestly
has.
think.
Yeah.
I think if you went in one of them little booths where you had your own little made studio and you'll get a plastic guitar each and do a karaoke video, I think we could have made a better one.
Yeah. It is truly shocking. It is a shocking video to this.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. You know, and
videos, much like Iron Maiden. I think Depeche Mode as well. I saw recently Depeche Mode are releasing all of their videos on a DVD, and I'm like, don't print too many, mate. But but videos have never been Rush's strong point.
No, and they would be the first to admit it.
But I know what if that's your weak point, then that's a weak point. I think
exactly.
Live with. But still, with that being said, this is a bad.
Well, it is. Yeah, I've got a comment. I've got a comment.
And I actually wanted to share this song with my sister.
Okay.
I was like, this is a great song with great words, and I was like, it's actually quite hard finding a video of this on YouTube where it's just the audio. Yeah. It's like, well, I can't send her the video. She'd never. Okay, this is she'd just laugh at the video, not even take notice of the lyrics or the song.
No, it does overshadow everything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It is
someone somewhere should have been sacked over that.
Well,
and it's Amy Mann in the video as well, by the way.
Yeah, she is in the video
on the camera.
But it says here, while the song's emotional resonance is hard to fault, which is what you've shared, the music video has aged particularly poorly.
It's aged like bread.
Yeah. Directed by experimental Polish director, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce this person's name. The video's bizarre use of green screen to give the impression that the band were floating around a studio is a strange and unintentionally amusing image. Geddy Lee remarked on the video later on in the band's career, and he says here, it is such a strange video, just a bizarre day. This is my hair at its worst. It's a bad do. I don't even think we ever really nailed music videos. The funny thing is, just watching this giant drum kit flying through the air, it's one thing to see humans, they have a form, but here's the whole drum kit floating through space. Who says we don't have a sense of humor? It is crazy. So you've got to steer away from
some bands as well. Do a bit of piss take videos as well. They do comedy videos, but this is
it is just
they could have got away with it by going, oh no, it's a piss take. It's all
no, it just didn't work at all.
No,
but anyway, I think if we move away from that, I mean, it is a great song. Licensed metallic, says here, faux acoustic guitar. Basically, it's an electric guitar with an acoustic patch. Begins the song, and it's his signature way of doing things with arpeggiated chords, and it is a real blend of pop and synth music. There are unusual time signatures in this song, even though you don't realise it. It still reveals prog rock in there, and it was unsurprisingly the lead single for the album. Lyrically beautiful, perfect continuation from the preceding track. The first lines, I turn my back to the wind to catch my breath, immediately bring to mind the violent and awesome storms that were mentioned in False 10. Another subtle reference to the previous track in the line, I let my skin get too thin, a stark contrast to the skin as thick as thieves mentioned in False 10. it says here, and I would agree with this. This song it's almost got a more somber tone to it. Lee
Yeah, it's got a
sings
sort of tone.
yeah,
Yeah,
Lee sings the lyrics with such a convincing yearning, willing time to stop for a moment, long enough for some of life's better experiences, as you said, to just truly sink in, just have a moment, long enough, just long enough to just that little, them good times just to last a little bit longer. And again, it said you've already mentioned Amy Mann. Um, she's from the band Till Tuesday, and she's also the bass player of the band as well. That's what I've got here. I don't know if you had that info. Um,
no.
and she doesn't just sing parts of the chorus; she does quite a lot of the backing vocals on this one as well.
Yeah,
The end, and I thought this was clever, and you mentioned it. The endless ticking of a clock is brought to mind by Peart's percussion in the chorus, like the wood blocks and the high-pitched toms, carefully placed around the melody to add an additional unsung layer of meaning to the song. Yeah, it's I think it's a great number. Always they played it on a few tours. They played it on a few tours. Obviously, they played on this particular tour.
I thought this would go on to be a mainstay. Actually, I think I would guess that this would be quite a popular song.
It was popular. I think Rush did what they always do: is they'll play it and then they'd rest it, and then play it and rest
Which
it.
is
Yeah,
wise. Yeah,
it's probably a good thing because they'd probably just get sick to death of playing it. That's the which is what happened with Spirit of Radio. They did actually drop that for a tour, you know, and people say, "Oh, you can't drop
yeah.
Spirit,"
No, but
but they
yeah.
did.
I mean, set lists is another topic of mine that I'm pretty
Well,
fascinated with. But Maiden did that recently. It was I can't remember what one they dropped, but it was. Do you know what? I've probably got 100 versions of it done live.
yeah,
I'm quite happy for it to be dropped this time in place of something else that I haven't heard 100 times. So,
well, yeah, definitely,
and I do think you do. I do think bands do tend to. It's a it's a double-edged sword, and it's a thin.
yeah.
What's the word? It's a thin road to walk down. It's finding that balance, but I do think bands can paint themselves into a corner with having to stick to certain hits.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, it can. And I think after a while, you just get, yeah, if you get
and if
bored
you
with
do
it,
go,
then,
no, actually, we're not playing that.
yeah,
How about you listen to the other 20 albums?
yeah,
And I don't think it keeps. I do think a band has to discipline their audience a little bit. Again, I always mention Maiden, but Maiden make a point when the new album comes out. We are playing a big chunk of that new album, so you better listen to it. And the audience know that, and they'll go, no, we're not going to just play Run to the Hills for the
yeah,
millionth time. We're going to
yeah,
mess about. We're going to,
yeah,
so keep
absolutely.
on your toes and do your own work. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
indeed. Well, I
there's
think,
the
again,
line, and
yeah.
I think
Well, the
more
other thing
bands should do it.
is, if they play it all the time, they get bored playing it. And then, of course, the version of the song just sounds very tired and laboured. You want it still
Yeah,
to be fresh. You've got to have that enthusiasm. And if you're playing it tour in, tour out, you're going to get bored with it. So it will reflect in the performance of it.
yeah. There is a certain type of Maiden fan as well, where they will just sit there all the way through the show, just sit there, still, just dead still, dead still, dead still, dead still. And then right at the end, when they play "Hello, Be Thy Name" or
Yeah.
"Number of the Beast," yeah, yeah. Have you just come for those two songs? Yeah, it's
Worth every penny,
yeah, horses for courses.
Yeah, but yeah, I think going back to this song, just I mean, you've already mentioned like the chorus. I mean, it's very succinct, but it really just the weight of meaning just drips off of it. Yeah, see more of the people and the places that surround me now. Freeze this moment a little bit longer, make each sensation a little bit stronger, and then experience slips away. Yeah, I really, you can't fault, you never can fault the lyrics from Neil. They're always so well thought out and so brilliantly put together. Uh, yeah, yeah, it was a hit. It was I don't know where it charted. I don't think they released it as a single over here. It might have been in the US that they released it as a single one. I've got no information where it got in the charts or anything like that. But it was pretty well known, and it got play. I think it's had a fair amount of airplay as well in its time. So I've got nothing else.
It's pretty regular on your Planet Rocks and the
Yeah.
rest of it. But no, I think it's a great song. It's one that's stuck out to me, and I think apart from the real obvious hits, you know, with your Sound of Radio's, Tom Sawyer, etc.
Yeah.
This and probably Marathon, I think, is a good second tier. Like, right, you got that. Now try this, you know.
Yeah.
But no, fantastic song.
Yeah.
And,
I always enjoyed it. It was quite immediate. You sort of, I think it was. This is obviously Rush at their poppiest and most accessible, I guess. This album generally.
Well, this whole album is,
yeah, and I think it's almost like Rush Light, you know. If I can say that, if you know
for
what I mean.
For worse, and I think this is where we're going to go for the rest of the album. So,
let's press on, shall we?
Let's press on. So, Open Secrets. What do we think of this one? There's
right.
There's still proggy.
Yeah. There are still prog leanings in these songs. This was the one, according to this, what I've got in front of me. This one was one of the most. They took a great deal of time composing this particular song. It was quite difficult for them to put it together, but it says here with a similar arrangement to the album's previous two songs, but perhaps lacking some of their melody and drive. It says here, Open Secrets is a song that at first runs the risk of sounding formulaic, while Licensed Light Guitar as well was well suited to the album's previous two songs. Its absence here is notable, and it is. Apart from the lead bits that you hear, the guitar seems to blend into the background more on this particular song. The song's second half breaks down into a fusion of jazz and rock, which adds some additional colour to the song. But it says here, but given all the numerous musical tools at the band's disposal, it remains sonically static, this particular song. So
I like the open spacey.
Yeah, because you got that big, you got that big melodic guitar lick or hook sitting on top of the expanse of the keys, and it's quite distinct. It's very, very distinctive. I don't. I mean, we're going to get on to ones we like, but I think generally there is a certain quality to all the songs on this album. It's just a question of your personal taste, whether you like ones more than others. I mean, some people say that this is regarded as a weak point on the album. I don't agree with that. I don't think this is that bad a song.
Pulse 10, we've got all the different elements coming together. You've got a nice runaway introduction. You've got Time Standing Still, which is a radio song. Let's tell it how it is.
Yeah.
But now this one sort of takes a step back and kind of lets things breathe. And it's got the keyboards, it's got these nice spacey elements going on, and then it sort of picks up and goes a little bit jammy towards the end.
Definitely.
I think
I like it, and I quite like the licensed solo on this one. It's understated, but by his own standards, it is quite understated, but it still sounds good to me. I still like it. But again, Geddy's bass is quite busy on this one. If you're really listening, he's really going for it on this, and he does on a few of the other songs as well. I like it. I like it. I don't think it's a weak song, and I don't think it's a weak point on the album. Again, they say the lyrics are very carefully composed by Peart. And it says here the lyrics for this were inspired by a conversation that he had with Geddy Lee, and it's basically about words being another plea for honesty and openness within personal relationships, which is that's much is obvious when you read the lyrics. The song discusses the dilemma that faces us when we consider revealing tough truths, to unburden oneself and risk scorn. Or
is it about getting pissed?
Well, it may be, or to carry the weight, but with self-protection. So I think it's, yeah, I think it's. I mean, there are some great lines in this particular song. Let's see if I can see them. Yes. Yeah, I mean, even the first verse, it went right by me. At the time, it went over my head. I was looking out of the window. I should have looked at your face instead. Well, I guess we all have these feelings we can't leave unreconciled. Some of them burned on our ceilings, some of them learned as a child. The things that we're concealing will never let us grow. Time will do its healing. You've got to let it go. Yeah, it's even though I've got the big print version, the lyrics are still quite small on this. Yeah, I think if even like the very spacious and laid back refrain part towards the back of the song, which is sort of quite jazzy, and the lyrics, I find no absolution in my rational point of view. Maybe some things are instinctive, but there's one thing you could do. You could try to understand me, and I could try to understand you. I mean, you don't need a degree to work out what's going on and what's being said. So again, very, I say it all the time, just really good lyrics, and they conveyed quite a lot in had it been put down. But yeah, I don't mind this song, but you can hear the sort of some complexities here. So I'm not surprised this one took them a little while to put it together. But I don't think it's a sonically static song either. I wouldn't agree with that. I don't think it's a badly put together song. So I've got have you got anything else on it?
Not much. No, I think it's a good little,
yeah,
spacey little number that gives you a bit of breathing space for the rest of the album. And no, it's a pretty good song.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of a bit spacey and a bit sparse, Second Nature. This is another one. Again, I said initially that the keyboards are quite light on this album, but no, there's quite a bit going on.
There is quite a lot of keyboards on it. Again, I've got to be honest, I quite like this song. I quite like Second Nature. With the synthesized piano, and Lee's voice on this brings it in nicely. But I think on this one you've got and it says it here, but you've got that quite light. They use light and shade quite a lot on this one. You know, you've got that very piano end of the spectrum with just the voice and the keys, but then you've got the power and the drums coming in, giving it that massive difference. So I like this song. I don't believe they ever played this one live.
No,
I can't see it on any set lists anywhere, and even on this tour, they didn't play this one, which I thought was a bit of a shame, really, because I think I would have quite liked to see them do this one.
I think this would have done. I think this would have been quite good live as well.
Yeah.
Actually. One of those ones, especially with the way the song sort of builds up and then that bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
I think they could have made something.
Yeah.
Made something with it.
I think going back to your James Bond analogy, I think all of that part is very cinematic with big accents and everything, and you got the strings being played on that as well. It really, it's a big sound, and I think that would really live. That'd sound great. But I can't see it anywhere where it was played live, which is interesting. Again, I know we said it. Good lyrics on this one. It says here, while Rush in their early days were often to their, it says in brackets, often to their advantage, strongly opposed to compromise, Second Nature is an open letter that reveals an acceptance that one side of an argument will never win out completely, and that compromise is more acceptable than a complete abandonment of one's initial aims.
No, it won't.
No, exactly. I'm not sure I agree with that. He says, with the lyrics, I know perfect's not for real. I thought we might get closer, but I'm ready to make a deal, which is a couple of lines quoted. Yeah, I do. It says on here, the double meaning of Second Nature carries through the song with a wish, not just for the beauty of nature to carry through to our everyday lives and habitats, but that it would seem, at least to the author, that this ought to be second nature in itself. The song is something of a secular prayer, it says, which opens as an open letter to basically anyone who will listen. Indeed, the line, now I lay me down in dreamland, was inspired by a prayer that Peart was taught as a child. So, yeah, it's... last little bit on this is rapidly moving melody. I quite like the melody of the vocals on this one. Lends itself to Collins. It says here brittle production. Sounds pretty good to me. And the band's choice to arrange the song with hugely contrasting moments. Oh, yeah, it's what I've already said. Yeah, softly accompanied vocals to heavy drums and distorted guitar. Impressive musical use of light and shade successfully brings power to the song's most important moments. Yeah, I don't think. Is there anything on the lyrics that struck you, or?
There's not been a lot on this album really that has leaped out at me lyrically, to be honest, apart from Time Stands Still.
Time Still, yeah. Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, it's you're not going to agree on everything. I wouldn't say these. I mean, I like the lyrics. I still think they're very clever.
It's just not something that's I've really looked into either.
That's fair enough. I do like it. I like it. It works well, but the surprise for me is that it's never been played live, which I found a bit surprising. I thought they would have done this one. So, unless you've got anything else, Joe, I've not got anything else.
No, I'm happy to move on. Okay. So the next track is Prime Mover, and where we've had two songs that have had space to breathe and sort of taken time to get to where they want to go to and build up. Prime Mover kicks off with, I want to say a riff, but it's not quite true, is it? A keyboard, a main melody that's quite, well, it is very catchy. It sticks in your brain. It's an earworm. This is prime Rush in this period of the band. But there's some quite interesting bass going on in this song as well. And it's just it's a nice constructed song. It's another one that could have been a single.
Yeah, it could have been. I've got no info saying that it ever was released as a single. I don't know whether you have.
But that main dan, 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 you know that.
Yeah. Okay.
Easily could have been.
Yeah, it is catchy. Yeah, I've got. Have you got anything else on it, or is it just?
Not much really. I just think
No.
it's a simple, straightforward song.
Well, it is by Rush's
I mean,
standards. Yeah.
yeah, and this is a straightforward song and a pretty straightforward album, really. For again,
I think for Rush it is. Yeah. But again, probably very much an album of its time, and reflecting what was going on in musically around them at this time as well. So we've said it before on previous albums that they're a band of fans, and they would listen to what was going on in the music world around them. So they would reflect that in what they did. If they got into something, then it would be parlayed through their style of how they do things. So
I would say though, the problem we've got with this album is that it's, you could say Signals is of its time or Power Windows is of its time. Yeah, but they were good. They were really, and they contributed something to that time. This is very, I don't know. I feel quite lukewarm with this album.
Do you think that they? I think they would say it themselves. I think this was possibly a step too far.
I think this album is actually just plain sailing. I don't think every album from Rush to Fly By Night onwards and upwards, every time so far we've seen a progression and an evolution and an addition to the catalogue, and where are they going to go next? And I think as a Rush fan up to this point, if you were there at the time getting a new album, you would have this anticipation of what are they going to do next. And again, I think every band gets to this point, and it's not every band has the luxury of getting to this point. But I think eventually a band just gets to a point where they just put out a band name here album. And this we've reached the point where Rush are just being Rush.
Certainly, well, Rush at this point they are being.
I think an evolution will come later, but I've seen it with Seven Dust. I've seen it with. In fact, this reminds me, and the way this review is going actually reminds me a lot of Maiden's "No Prayer for the Dying" album. To me, I thought that was a very autopilot album, uninspired album. But Luke loved it, and Luke often argued it was one of the better Maiden albums. And he said, yeah, but you're saying it. I mean, to me, it's just 12 singles. It's just the singles on it are good, but the single was the best album. That was the segue in. But he said he put the whole Iron Maiden catalog album on. I don't know what device he had. He had an MP3 player or something like that, but he needed to make room on it and quick. So he was pretty ruthless and just deleted the songs he. I know I'm not going to listen to that all the way through. I know I don't care for that song much. That'll go. Right, yeah, I can live without that one. Yep. So he made a bit of more room and he said that was the only album that he didn't delete any songs from. And he said, I love this album more. I love that album song. That's my favorite song. But that was the one album that I didn't delete anything on, which was interesting. And I said, yeah, but up until that point, you've got this evolution and this leap forward and and then they reached this big pinnacle with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. And then, this is just an Iron Maiden album. But then he went, he would then argue, well, did they need to evolve anymore at that point? What more would you want? And but I would then say, well, no, they've come back to basics on that album in order to build upwards again.
Right.
And maybe that's what Rush are going to be doing now on this album. And in hindsight, we'll say, yeah, maybe they just needed this is a palate cleanser album.
Yeah.
And they will start to evolve again.
I think it's interesting that you put it that way. You could put it that way. I wouldn't disagree with that. I said right at the beginning, I think this is an addendum to. I think the electronic bit was finished with Power Windows, the previous album, and I think that was the culmination of the electronic, and the blend of it was at its peak there. I think this was just an addition and almost like a full stop at this point. I think they were still pushing it, the keys, but they just took it in on a slightly different tangent and went a bit more poppy with this one. Poppy come jazzy. It's definitely it's their softest album.
It seems to me like they've made their money at this point, and they've explored some pretty deep topics. They've gone some pretty deep areas with the music, and it just feels like they've got to this point and gone, "Oh, I'm not quite sure what." There's no oomph there anymore. I remember Dee Snider from Twisted Sister making song. You know, he says I was writing. You know, they were catchy songs and thingy songs, but they came from a genuine place. And I Want to Rock, that came from a defiant place. And we're not going to take it. It's a catchy, fun song, but we meant what we were saying. We're not going to take it anymore. You know, and, and all these years of playing these poxy little clubs, and I'd be going out during the day on a bike, putting posters up everywhere, and because all of a sudden, you know, we made it, and we made this hit record. It was a defiant thing, and it comes to reading. Right, you got to make a new album now, and he went. I'm sitting around my swimming pool, and I'm just thinking, I've got nothing. What am I angry about? I'm not, and I feel like the band might have got to that point. They're all they've explored the angst, the wonder, the mysteries, the big questions, and it does seem a little bit on this album that it's a bit. We've just Rush at this point where I've said "Time Stands Still" is my favourite song.
Yeah,
"Time Stands Still" wouldn't have been the best song on Permanent Waves. The single would have been definitely a taster, and now the real good stuff. That's for them. That's for the radio people. That's for the MTV watchers. This good stuff is for the fans. It don't feel like there's any good stuff for the fans on this one. It feels like the singles are actually the highlight. And the frustrating thing is that it isn't bad.
No.
It's not. This isn't a bad album by any chance, but it's not.
No,
it's not giving you a sucker punch either. It's not making you go, "Wow, they've done it again. They've shocked me again."
I think, I think you've got little parts of it that you think, that's good and that's clever, but it's not.
They're a victim of their own success on this.
I think so, and I wouldn't say it's a bland album. It's not bland, but it's not up as much as previous albums. Like you've said, it just they've sort of plateaued here. I think
the bland accusation comes from the production. I think a different producer would have.
Well, I would say it is Peter Collins again, and that was his genre of pop. So I dare say,
I think this would have.
Yeah,
I think maybe a rock producer or something that would have beefed up a few of the guitars.
Yeah,
he would have brightened some certain colours, certain things that have faded into the.
Yeah.
What pop does, it gives you that.
Well, it sanitizes everything, doesn't it? Really,
it's that clean.
Yeah.
Stuff that you put over the wall that seals paint or seals the brickwork.
It does. It really does.
It's Thompson Ron seal, isn't it? It just encapsulates everything.
Yeah, it does what it says on the tin. Yeah,
but
it's
I think a rock producer would have beefed some of these songs up.
I think so, but in doing this, I think that Peter Collins, the producer, I think he did a better job on Power Windows. I think Power Windows production was superb. This is personally is not so good. I think it is a little bit too well-rounded and too smooth around the edges. I think with this, and Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I think it's the production. Possibly.
Rush are Revenge of the Nerds, aren't they?
Well,
They are and they are the height of uncool.
yeah, but it's not here.
And in a roundabout kind of way, became the coolest band on the block. They're the band that wasn't special, which kind of made them kind of special. They're that band. They're the band that became what they weren't.
Yeah.
But this album, I could picture buying this album in Costco.
Possibly. I didn't, but
2112, you could. That was an album that someone discovered on their own in a corner of a record shop. Cool.
Or some
I'm telling my mate. Yeah. They went round their mate's house and they went, I've discovered something amazing. Check this out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. This hasn't got that. And I think even if you look at the cover is quite nondescript.
The cover says it all.
Yeah,
quite frankly,
it does. It does say. If anything, you want to look at the inside. The inside. The inside cover is probably more interesting. You know, it's just with the guy actually juggling 3 balls of fire. You know, I've got. There's a few things about this song, Prime Mover. It says the philosopher Aristotle, in his discussion of causes, found that the universe, unlike anything else, must have a prime mover, a force or being that is responsible for all the movement within it. The term is also used in engineering to describe the part of a machine that converts energy into movement. These and the term's other meanings are thoroughly explored in this song in sometimes subtle ways that once again reveal Peart's avid consumption of literature in putting these ones together. Says here, the song's narrator takes an objective view of humanity and sees basic physical creatures responding to their instincts and at first simply surviving. As the song progresses and develops, so too do the creatures it describes, no longer responding simply to instincts, but now responding rationally to their passions. The meaning of their experiences and their existence becomes important to them. Just what we've been talking about. Collins' pop-honed production brings Lee's vocals right to the front on this particular song, with its strong melodies, which is what you've already alluded to, and I've got strong melodies on this one, and a meaningful performance of a complex lyric. It is a moment where it would seem that the music, lyric, and production are in perfect synergy. Flashes of brilliant musicianship. Again, I wouldn't disagree with that, from the band decorate the track without becoming obtrusive. And Peart's layered lyric continues to reward the listeners time after time. What does it say? Oh, right. Yeah, the final verse of the song refers overtly to Aristotle's use of the term with the lines, I set the wheels in motion and run behind the scenes, which is an allusion to Aristotle's view that while a prime mover must exist, it is unlikely to have any concern for the results of its initial action. Led to its conclusion, this line of thinking leads to a realization that, in brackets, as pointed out in Free Will, close brackets, destiny is not predetermined, and while certain things have been set in motion without our input, it is us that must decide how we respond to the world in which we find ourselves in, with the line, anything can happen. That's it.
I wonder,
I mean, it's an interesting background to the song.
Do you think production-wise, I think this is the album, yeah. So the Ramones worked with Phil Spector on this album.
Yeah.
And it's end of the century. Johnny Ramone famously hated this album because he famously didn't get on with Phil Spector. He just went, yeah, I know you worked with all the Motown records. I know you did this and I did that. Yeah. What have you done lately? That was his attitude to him.
Oh, right, yeah.
Whilst Phil Spector really got along with Joey Ramone, and Phil Spector wasn't really interested in the band, but he did really like Joey. Right. So this basically was Joey. He was honing in on Joey as a singer and bringing out the performance of him as a vocalist. And like this is where they famously cover "Baby I Love You."
I love you, yeah.
Yep. Which I think is the definitive version. And it was just like we were just sitting around bored whilst Phil Spector just mused over Joey. This is Phil Spector's album of
for
making Joey a singer. And do you think Peter Collins is doing this?
Possibly. It's possible.
And
because the voice is very much to the fore on this, definitely.
And there's comments as well on Power Windows as well as how much Geddy's, I won't say improved, but he's tightened up a bit as a vocalist. He's not sort of going off on these high pitched. I've never really his vocals have never really bothered me. I know
no, some people don't like his.
Geddy is a deal breaker. That Rush are one of those bands, and there are bands like that.
Yes, they are.
In metal, we have King Diamond. There's a lot of people just go, can we just edit the? If someone just put out a video, an album of the vocals edited out,
just basically an album with instrumentals.
But you either love or hate, and that's Geddy. But
I think it is. I think even on this, I'd say it's the voice and the keys really, and you've got great guitarist and a great drummer on here. Although saying that, I mean the bass, there's still a lot going on bass wise on this album. It's just
it always is.
Yeah, it's again, this one they did play this one on a few tours, Prime Mover, and it was definitely played on this tour. I've got notes on what songs from this album they played on this tour, but we'll say that at the end. So I've got nothing else to say about this one.
Well, let's move on then to Lock and Key. Again, I think this is a highlight on the album. I think it's got really good chorus. It's got big hooks. I think this is a suitable follow-up to Killer Instinct. This is Killer Instinct, but it's not.
It is.
It's Lock and Key. Time Stands Still.
Yeah.
I think he complements it quite well. But this is a really good, catchy number.
Yeah, it is. Says here, and again, when you look at the lyrics, it says here, this is one of the darkest tracks on the album. Lock and Key deals with the brutal instincts that we carry, but hide behind a civilized veneer. That's what I think this album is. It's sort of like a civilized veneer over this album with regards to production.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking about a short while ago. Like other tracks on the album, the piece is at its core is all about balance. This time, the balance between freedom and security, accepting that while we carry this killer instinct, we must find a balance between silencing it entirely and giving in to it. The song's themes of imprisonment are given further depth by the inclusion of Piet's line, "The heart of a lonely hunter." But this is an allusion to Carson McCullers' debut novel. I don't know who Carson McCullers is. Debut novel about a deaf mute who suffers a further literal confinement in a mental asylum. Do you know anything about Carson McCullers?
Over my head, yeah.
Yeah, it's way over mine. But Piet obviously, again, doing a lot of research and a lot of reading. It says here, Lock and Key is a richly arranged piece with complex bass and keyboard lines occurring at the same time. Live, the melodies were amalgamated into one keyboard line, giving the song a distinctly different sound musically. Lock and Key is unique in Lee's use, and I didn't know this, Lee's use of a 5-string bass.
Oh, right.
It's one of very few times, well, it says here, unique. So I'm assuming this is the only song he's ever used a 5-string on. And I've got a bit, when I've seen him live, I don't think I've ever seen him with only 4-string bass is normal. Excuse me. Song second verse.
Yeah, you find guitarists go for a 7-string or a 12-string or a bassist with a 5, and they never stick to it, do they?
No, I think you do. You use what is required for the song. I mean, a 12-string guitar is a beautiful sounding guitar when it's used in the right places. I think just using it for the sake of using it can be a bit of an overkill.
Yeah.
Because obviously with a 12-string guitar, it's almost like a natural chorus effect on the guitar, rather than using a chorus pedal. Well, that's what it invokes anyway. Where have I got to? Oh, song's second verse, with its unconventional African-inspired percussion, complex bass guitar sequences, and flashes of Andy Richards' synthesizers, bring to mind the layered arrangements that were found on Power Windows. Despite the numerous complicated musical ideas, the music serves the lyrics well. This is partly due to the lyrics and music being written at the same time, simultaneously. I didn't know that on this particular song. Oh, yeah, this is a bit. Let's say it's got a bit of punch, this song, hasn't it? And especially towards the end. It says here, and I was going to mention it anyway, the song's intensity reaches its climax with its finale, a short, explosive drum solo in the song's final moments. And Peart was particularly pleased with the results, he says, or he said. That's fantastic. A beautiful exchange of rolls, as in R-O-L-E-S. A drum solo in the terms of a guitar solo, where the rest of the band supports. Geddy and Alex are playing the actual rhythmic pulse, and it allows us to try out a new suit to take on a new interrelationship between us. So, and it does. I mean, there's lots of rolls around the kit towards the end, just hitting particular accents before bringing it all back out as it fades out. So, yeah, I liked it. From a drumming point of view, it's an interesting thing to listen to.
I think you've made it how the song sounds a lot more complex than.
Yeah, it doesn't sound it. No, but when you listen, actually, if you break it down, there's quite a lot going on this one.
And there's a lot going on to what, again, on the surface, what I found to be quite a straightforward album in Rush's terms. But yeah, the more I'm learning about it, the more I'm thinking.
Yeah, but it's
a lot went into this.
Yeah, there's a lot that's gone into it. It's just, and it's not just you, it's me as well. Because like you, I'm just listening to it and think, yeah, okay, yeah. But actually, when you break it down and you listen to it, you think, yeah, there has been an awful lot of attention. There is still a lot of attention to detail. But I think it's just, as you've said, quite rightly so, it's how it's been packaged together and presented that perhaps it's lost something in the production.
Yeah.
On this particular album. Unless you've got anything else, I've not got.
No, I mean, again, it's one of the more. It's a very memorable song. It's very hooky, very
yeah.
Thing, and
was there any lyrically?
Probably a highlight for me behind Time Stands Still. I do like this song.
Yeah, it's again, I think the lyrics. I shouldn't say they're just straightforward, but he's made them very straightforward, but it's still extremely
straightforward by Peart's.
Yeah, but it's still very, very clever
Standards
together. Yeah, right.
Right. Let's move on then to Mission. I'll keep my comment brief on this one. Just
go on. Are you not a fan of this one?
It's just whatever.
Yeah,
that's it with my one. And a dream is just a dream, and it's a mission. Whatever.
It starts off. It starts off very soft, but this is actually quite a favourite with the Rush fans. You wouldn't think it. I don't. I actually quite like the song when it gets
I'll
going.
be going to go get a beer, I think.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I will take advantage of the short queue
That's it.
in the toilets, and I'll sneak off to the bar and get a t-shirt.
Well, and obviously the opening line is the title track. Is the title of the album. Hold your fire. Keep it burning bright. You know. Musically, again, it's quite complex. Starts off simple, but then it builds up, and it's quite a strong. And I've seen them play this live. I must admit, it's better live, much better live. It's got a bit more.
I'm open to that.
It's got a lot more oomph to it, and it's not my favourite one on the album, but I do quite like this one, and I love the. To me, it reminds me very much, especially when it opens up and you got the bass disappearing, you got the bass pedals going, and it's quite slow. Very Genesis to me, more like the modern Genesis. It has that slight feel to it, to me, and I think, well, yeah, I don't mind the feel of this one.
It does pick up a little bit towards the thing,
yeah.
And
there are
moment when he's,
yeah, but... and there are bits of prog in this, but you wouldn't. And different time changes as well, particularly during Alec Lifeson's very squealed, screaming little solo he plays on this, and then you've got a very interesting little bit with the bass and the glockenspiel, the little and all this, which is really different. So I quite look that, and then you get the big drum breaks coming in as well. So I like it how that they sort of one follows the other. It's almost tripping over itself at that point. So I actually I don't mind this album. I don't mind this particular song, but it came more into its own when I saw it live. Much better than what you've got here, because the guitar is just louder for a start on the live version of it, and this little solo at the end that's extended slightly as well. That's quite nice. So yeah, I think in some respects it's a bit of it's an underrated song, but it says here it is extremely popular with Rush fans, and it did make appearances on subsequent tours. This one,
I'm sure the light has come out.
Yeah.
And it's all well and good, but
but it's not your cup of tea, Joe. That's fair enough.
It's not floating my boat.
No,
this one.
That's fair enough. That's fine. Well, we kind of agree on everything. I didn't mind this one, and I don't mind it. What was the thing? It says
I don't mind any of it. Like I said, Rush on a bad day.
It's still not bad. Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know if yeah. It says here the song lyrically is similar to Middletown Dreams from Power Windows. It basically, this song looks at the other side of dreams, not just the price of obsession, but also the struggle for those that are undecided or unsure of their own ambitions. The song grew again from a conversation that Liam Peart had about the idealized way people often view the life of a successful musician. The song explains that while realizing one's ambition is of course an achievement to be proud of, every decision has its consequences, and many of them are negative. And it says here, while the majority of the song is sung from the point of view of someone whose wish is to obtain the drive and ambition of the people they admire, the final section of the song is a response to that feeling, and those that have it. It's a cold comfort to the ones without it, to know how they struggled, how they suffered about it. We each pay a fabulous price for our visions of paradise. There's not really much more to say on it, really. But yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm really glad I never made it as a musician, aren't you? Oh, we dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. some people would say I'm not a musician anyway, so I'm just a pretender. Um, I've got nothing else to say about it. I think the fact that many Rush fans actually do quite like that song. I think it's an overlooked one, I guess. But you've
Right,
got
well, let's turn the page and move on to the next track.
yeah,
And,
absolutely, yeah.
and lo and behold, that's what the song's called. Yeah, this one I like. This one picks up the pace quite nicely on this one.
Mm.
I like the chorus. I like the way, the way the pace of the song, and it's got a good little chorus. Yeah, this is a.
Well, the guitar's more to the fore on this one as well. You can hear the guitar.
Yeah, Alex. They let Alex out of the closet on this one.
I think he must have broken free of his leash on this particular song.
But yeah, it's just the age of Giddy. Well, Giddy's been pretty active on the bass on this one. I think he's made up for some lost time because the last albums there's been criticism of the keyboard sort of taking precedent, but he's pretty. But there's a nice little bit with that boom, 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 boom. And it's him that sort of picks the song back up again. And no, I like this one. I like Turn the Page.
Yeah, it's not a bad song at all. I like this one. It does, and here it's a comment about the style of bass playing. It says here Lee's style of bass playing had evolved continuously, and on this particular song, he uses an unusual style, plucking with both his thumb and fingers to employ something like a classical guitar fingerpicking style. It says here Lee's bass playing had always been at the forefront of Rush's music, and the simultaneous use of chords and root notes that open this song at once take the role of both, again, rhythm guitar and bass guitar. Lee's ambitious bass line relentlessly drives this song forward, but it caused him some trouble on tour because the vocal and the bass line have little in common melodically or rhythmically, and consequently he found it extremely difficult to perform both simultaneously when performing live.
Yeah, I think that could be quite a common little trap.
Yeah.
And I think many a band could fall into, actually, because what works in the studio doesn't always quite translate live. And with the earlier albums, a lot of the material is tested live.
Yeah, of course it is. What else did it say? It says here, notable that 12 albums into their career, the band was still deliberately pushing themselves by writing music that maybe was just beyond their technical reach. I'm not sure whether I agree with that on this particular album.
I'm going to let you take the lead for a second, Paul.
Have you got a problem, have you?
With a dog, and I think she's going to want me to stand by. That fence that we referenced in the last episode is completely gone now. So I basically got.
Right. Yeah. Well, you carry on, and I'll
seconds just so he doesn't jump next door. But you take the lead in the next song.
No problem. I'll carry on. As I was saying here, I think that particular comment about pushing themselves, yes, they did, but I think with regards to Hemispheres, they were pushing themselves beyond what they were technically capable of. They were playing beyond themselves. I think with this album, and in particular on this track, I think he can do the singing and the bass separately, as we say when we come to recording, but to do both live was a different sort of challenge. It wasn't a case that he couldn't do them, it was a case of whether he could combine both of them to a proficient level in a live situation. He must have done this because it does appear on one of their live albums. So, and I haven't listened to it for a while, but it sounded fine to me. So he must have obviously practiced it an awful lot before going on the road anyway. More comments about this one. With rapidly moving instrumentation, Turn the Page makes fine work of representing the lyric. In it, Peart describes time as a river, carrying us at great speed into the future. Today is merely a time capsule a moment that before we realise it, we will too be consigned to the past. Turn the page reminds the listener to engage with the present and those who we find ourselves sharing it with. Lifeson's powerful rhythm guitar makes a welcome return on this track, and I couldn't agree more. And he's used to great effect in the bridge section halfway through the song. The musical breakdown that follows provides a stunning contrast when everything but Lee's bass is removed. And shortly after, Lifeson breaks into one of his eccentric signature solos, using his personalised Lurkst Sportscaster to bend notes from high wails to subterranean rumbles. And it's a premonitory, I can't even say that word. It's a hint that Rush still maintain their rock roots. So again, I enjoy the little squealy solo on this one. It, as we said earlier, Joe, it was just a case that he's been let out of his cage to do something, and he sort of grabs the opportunity by the throat, really.
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because arguably, with Neil developing as a drummer and
Mm.
Geddy as a bass player, but on those early albums, Alex was the star of the show, and
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
it's like he's just been relegated to the background and on.
Well, yeah, I think through this particular period of the band's history, I think there were times when Alex and Geddy, although they're great friends and they're bonded, there was a clashing of heads here, I think, at times. And Alex has actually gone on record as saying, he said, I don't see why I should be looking for a different place in the music. It should be the keyboards, not me. And so I think it sort of came to a head on Power Windows, even though there's a lot of guitar on it and the perfect blend, but he still felt that he had to find a different place in the sound to occupy, because the keyboards were just taking centre stage, really. And I think this was the album that sort of broke the camel's back with regards to it.
Yeah, I think there's no problems with egos or anything like that, but
no, I don't think there was.
Every band member is willing to let the song go where it naturally needs to go, and if that means taking a step back, so be it. But it gets to a point of, right, well, I've took a step back. Any chance of me stepping forward again anytime soon? And but I think Alex has got a good little segue on the next song, because there isn't so much keyboards on the next song, but there is some flutes. We've arrived, ladies and gentlemen. You knew we were going to get there. Let's get into Tai Shan.
Yes. Well,
the masterpiece.
Well, I don't. Have you got anything on this, or is this?
I've got something on this.
Actually. Yeah, go on then. Go for it.
Go
for it. Go on. You kick it off.
I'm going to come back to this article, which we referenced earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it starts off as an article and kind of becomes an interview.
Mm-hmm.
People who don't like Rush really don't like Rush. But Hold Your Fire is even divisive within the Rush fan community. Sorry, one sec. Then there are band members themselves. Geddy called Tai Shan an error, while Alex called it a little corny, one of the worst Rush songs. To which,
I've got that.
Who's the Angel?
Yeah.
To which Angel replies, and this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, go on then.
I mean, it is corny, but it's sincere. Corny always means sincere, unless it's really contrived, and then it's a different kind of corny.
Yeah.
When people are so saccharine and melodramatic and sincere, it can come off like that. I don't think they were necessarily trying to be someone they weren't. I don't want to say the way they look back then, the way they look back at it is wrong, because they know what that was like and what they were doing. But I have a suspicion that they were a little embarrassed about being that heart on sleeve about things. I understand, because pretty much every rock artist went through the 80s phase with the synths. By the time the 90s came, all the reverb dried up and they went, oh God, our hair. Oh God, these clothes. Oh God, those keyboards. What were we thinking? It just kind of pisses me off a little bit. I understand going through a phase and needing to shift gears in a really big way all of a sudden. We all go through that in our lives where we have these huge growth spurts. We end up dressing different, acting different. I remember reading that Geddy said Tyshawn was a mistake. That fucking hurt. That hurt, because that song is a spiritual masterpiece. Yeah, it's fucking corny. Those pan flutes, I fucking get it. But the song is about standing on a sacred mountain and having a spiritual experience. Calling that a mistake is just wrong to me. Discuss.
Wow. Yeah, well, interesting. But I've got them comments. You say Lee described it as an error, and Lyson also distanced himself from this particular piece. I think we just have to look at the song and where it takes everything. The song takes its title from the easternmost of China's 5 great mountains, a place of worship and one of the most important ceremonial locations in China. Peart reached the summit in 1985 as part of an extended cycling tour of the country, and he was inspired by this experience, and he wrote the lyric and was also involved in imbuing this piece of music with numerous authentic details. He based the drums around the woodblock rhythm that Buddhist monks use for their chants. The band also sampled I think it's called a shakuhachi flute, actually a Japanese instrument, but still an authentic sound of the ancient Orient. The piece is soft and atmospheric, similar in some ways to Mystic Rhythms, which I prefer. But the attempt to bring a Chinese sound to the song, coupled with its highly personal lyric, perhaps this alienated some fans, and in brackets, and some of the band. At the very end of this song, as it's fading out, careful listeners, or those who turn their volume up, can hear a reversed sample of Amy Mann's voice from the Time Stand Still sessions. And Peart describes it as a nice texture, which gave the song an eerie pseudo-Chinese sound. And it says here, the line, if you raise your hands to heaven, you will live 100 years, is a reference to the legend that those who reach the mountain summit will reach their century. Peart has only ever spoken positively of this song and its composition. If legend is to be believed, though, and it says here, there is plenty of time for him to change his mind. I can see where it's coming from. I think for me, this is probably one of the very few. It's one of the songs that I would probably skip and cherry pick off, and just not bother. I think this is where the album begins to sort of. I think if this had been in a vinyl album format, I don't think this one would have been on there. I don't think it would have been on the album. I don't know what your feelings are about whether you would agree with that.
It's funny because I always knew there was this song that a lot of Rush fans didn't like, and even the band squirmed at it, but I couldn't ever remember what the song was, and it was just through reading the notes. It's like, oh, this is that song. This is the infamous one.
Yeah, this is the one. What do you think?
Which one's that again? Quickly stuck it. Oh, this one.
Yeah.
And I remember not being particularly turned off by it initially.
No.
So now, what I sort of have gone, oh yeah, well maybe this, maybe that. I didn't think of that until I read what I read.
Yeah.
The music It's perfectly fine to me.
Yeah.
I've got nothing wrong with the music. I think this would be great soundtrack on a documentary about China, maybe. Maybe a thing about mountains, or some. I think I love the the flute thing, and then that kicks into the sort of keyboardy bit that was following the sound. I think the composition, the music is fine. I just think the lyrics are a little bit. So I stood to the top of the mountain. And now, don't get me wrong, I bet that was an amazing experience, and I don't begrudge Neil that at all.
No.
But you got to, people have got to relate to it, And
I think I think until you've done it yourself, you probably can't.
I stood to the top of the mountain, and China sung to me.
Yeah.
Could he have not put upon the top of the mountain, the horizon sung to me? Therefore, it's a bit more universal. It could be more. It could be fictitious. It could be.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, it could have been a bit more encompassing, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the best lyrics are perfectly vague. It's a term I've used before, and I think he could have probably made it a bit more vague. This is a song about your holiday.
Yeah.
And that is what it's about. It's about your holiday.
Well, it is. It's a very personal.
Yeah.
And I think the technical term, isn't it? It's written in the first person, whereas usually you would write it in the third person. Yeah. I mean, those who are literal and top on their English literature and etc., you can correct me if I've got that totally wrong. But I think because it is so personal, it's probably a bit too personal for people. And it just
to the point where it's not relatable. We can all
and I think it's some people may be able to relate to it, as the person you quoted obviously was able to relate to it and thinks it's great, but I found myself, when I listened to this one, I think I'd like to experience that for myself, and see whether I would agree with that. That's all I ever found myself sort of thinking about it. But this is one of them ones that and I don't often do it with the Rush stuff, but this is one that I would skip.
With that being said, if this is as bad as it gets, you're onto a pretty good band.
Oh yeah. I mean, if somebody said
again,
that's the worst,
a little bit too. It's a bit of a coffee with 10 sugars in, isn't it? It's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit Battenberg. There's a bit of marzipan in this one. It makes you go a bit.
Yeah.
But the music's really nice.
Yeah, it is. As I say, I agree with you. You could use this for some sort of the music for this for some sort of TV documentary, just as like incidental music, definitely. Which is,
and
Rush is interesting. It's different.
I just think the lyrics just could have done with a bit of tweaking, a bit of. I understand this is what it's about, but maybe you could have just change a word here and there and just make it a bit more universal. Universal is the word I'm going to go with.
I'm just sort of quickly looking through the lyrics of it. I mean, it's not a long set of lyrics anyway.
I just think that was the thing that just made me go when I stood on the mountain and China sung to me.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it which is unusual for Piet, I think, but he's obviously he's got a lot of emotional investment in these particular set of lyrics.
Again.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
If the songs that do have good lyrics, if this is if I have to put up with this one, I'll put up with it.
Yeah, indeed. But it's certainly
Neil Peart wrote songs like "Resist," You know, it's what have I wrote? You know, so
Well, yeah, exactly. That's it. That's the way it goes. But yeah, I've got nothing more to say about that song unless you have. But
no, but I'm going to let you take the lead on the next song because I'm just going to skim through this article, see if there
right,
was anything else anything else that I think any good
right.
take.
So you want me to kick off with the final song, High Water? Yeah, yeah. Okay then. Right.
Hold on, sorry,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just
Go on.
go with this one.
Yeah, go on.
Right, so yeah, I think this is a good little take actually, and quite nicely timed. In the 90s, people didn't want to look back at the 80s production as aesthetic with some fondness as they do now. There was a general feeling of wanting to be reactionary, distancing themselves from that style. This album, though, is peak late 80s. To which she answers, yep, absolutely. To me, it sounds very late 80s. I think in the mid 80s period, there was still a little more rock orientated, but they were still a little bit more rock orientated about the synths. On Grace Under Pressure, the beats were more driving, and there was a bit more 4/4. Grace Under Pressure, despite being really synth heavy, makes me think of a fist, makes an intense rock fist.
Yeah.
Still rock music. Distance Early Warning is still a rock anthem, but
Yeah.
Hold Your Fire era is very airy and beyond arena rock. It sounds like they're in even bigger spaces than area. I think that's meant to say arena.
Yeah.
It's very soft and glistening. The late 80s is my favorite era of music. That peak right before people threw away the keyboards and cut their hair. There are two other Rush records that I think might qualify for defending. The next one, 1989's Presto, people don't seem to like that one very much either. I think that's tied with Power Windows as my second favourite. That's a bold statement.
Mm.
And then a lot of people don't like Caress of Steel because that was when it got really weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about how that people thought Time Stand Still was Rush selling out.
Yeah.
How many other songs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they ask about how many of her songs are inspired. Yeah, there's she's got a song called "Experience Slips Away," which is an obvious
Would
reference.
you? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this one goes on for quite a bit, so you'll have to go read it yourself, folks. I'll put the link to this article in the description of the video so you can have a read for yourself. But yeah, it's a good little article, and I'm going to look on this website and what was it called? Band Jury. I'm going to
Band
see
jury.
what other
Yeah,
gems are in there.
there might be some more nuggets and pearls of wisdom there. You know. You ready for the last one?
Yep, let's do it.
High water. I'll just go from the notes on here. It says finishing the album off is another song that favours texture and atmosphere over the drive of hard rock. Recycling some of the ideas that were perhaps more fully realised on Power Windows, High Water is something of an amalgamation of the eastern rhythms of territories and the textural layers of mystic rhythms. In the lyric, Peart explores the numerous and sometimes rarely considered connections that mankind has to water. The fact that water literally flows through our veins and that without it our planet would be barren of life is quickly alluded to in the first few lines. The song goes on to consider water's power to shape landscapes, to inspire longing and relief. It is a lyric in which every line provides a new image, from the trickle of a mountain spring to torrents of tropical rain. Peart has mentioned that water to him has a therapeutic quality. I always feel comfortable when I'm near water, be it the sound of the ocean or even the refreshing feeling of a dip in the swimming pool. And so yet another meaning is given then to the song's final line, the water takes me home. this song, I wouldn't disagree with any of that. Again, I don't mind this song, but it's not one of my favourites. And again, it would probably be. I think this one would have also been cut from the album if it was on the old album format.
It kind of proves what I was saying earlier. We're resorting to writing about water.
Yeah.
You're out of subjects, aren't you?
Yeah. It's almost like there is a slight burnout.
It flows everywhere. It's 90% of our bodies and the planet. And isn't water amazing? Got a song about it. They're running on fumes, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's possibly even a bit of burnout here, although it was a couple of years after they did Power Windows, which it's quite an odd little composition. It's quite interesting. Alex has got some good little solos of it. Yeah.
He's messing about with some weird little drum pattern, and he's built it around that, and it's all good. There's all textures around it, and it's an interesting album closer. But come on.
No, I think I think for me, because it's got these last two on it, I think the album suffers because of it. I think so. I've already said. I think if it was not CD and it was vinyl only, I think these two last songs would have been cut, and it would have been the other 8, which I think are stronger.
Yeah.
To me anyway. Yes. I agree with you. There are some nice textures on this. I think Alex possibly is the unsung hero on this particular song. I think there's some nice bits of guitaring on this one, and I agree with you. Yeah, rhythmically the drums are quite interesting. He's using some very different rhythmic ideas.
I think the artwork, just look at that's a classic album cover.
Yeah.
Classic album cover. That's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
That could be anyone.
Yeah.
Who's that then? It's Rush, is it?
Yeah.
And it's
a shame, but
you pick a kid will come across a record store. I'm going to buy that just on the album.
Yeah,
that's
because of the artwork. Yeah,
that looks cool. That's kind of dystopian. A sci-fi fan would look at that and go, "Yeah, that's going to be cool."
Yeah.
Cheryl's going to pick that up whilst doing her shopping in Costco. All time stand still. I like that song.
Yeah.
I bet that band's good. I'll put that on while I'm doing the ironing. My mum would have bought that.
Yeah.
And I would have hated Rush.
Yeah. It's
I think that sums up where I am on that album.
I mean, for the folks who are listening to this, it seems like it's sort of more like a downbeat sort of review of the album. There are some good bits on this, but I think the general consistency is not there as it's been on previous albums. And I think they were trying to experiment possibly a bit too much with certain sounds and putting things together on this one. Again, perhaps because they recorded all over the place on this one. They recorded in the Manor, Oxfordshire, Ridge Farm in Surrey, Air Studios in Montserrat, and the Clear Place in Toronto, and also on Licence Mobile. It says here strings were arranged and conducted by Stephen Margoshes, and that was recorded at the Clear Place.
Did they have mobile back then?
Sorry?
You said it was recorded on his mobile.
Yeah, he's got like a mobile studio.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, not in his mobile phone.
Yeah,
not in his mobile. No.
Right, here we go.
Oh, here we go. Here's Rush as a ringtone.
Yeah.
No, I meant a mobile studio. I do beg your pardon. was just looking to see with regards to any additionals. Have you got anything additional to this?
Not really. I've you know,
I've
I'm going to be a little less forgiving than you, I think. We
Yeah.
all get to that point where we get to the band's latest album, and you get it home and you're excited to hear it, and you go to your mate, well, what do you think of it? And then you go, well, what do you think of it? And everyone's just sort of waiting for the first person to say
what
it.
it is. Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's all right. It's interesting. I mean, you know, it's some good songs on it. I mean, it's experimental.
Yeah.
Come on, let's all just say it.
No, I think there are a few songs
an
on
experimental.
here.
What have Rush not been experimenting so far? Then fucking Rush. You know what was 2112 not experimental? Was Caress experimental? Was fucking experiment. When a band goes, well, that was quite an experimental album. That one. No, you didn't have a clue what you were doing, and it was directionless. You was uninspired and directionless, experimenting. Bollocks.
Yeah, I think it was.
We've all get to that point with a band.
It's a little bit of burnout. Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's not bad. I mean, it's all right. I mean, that's a good song, and you go watch them live on that tour, and it's all right. Yeah, you want to like it more than you actually do. You feel you get to a point where you feel obliged to like an album, and you sit there going, "Is it me?" You know,
no. This isn't one of my favourites. Definitely not. And I think after doing this, perhaps they realised that they had overstepped. Hence, there'll be a change when we get to the next album. It's different. But I'm just trying to see. It says that interesting liner notes. Again, they're just crediting the other musicians on the album. Says here, also offered to the William Ferry engineering brass band who were recorded at Mirage Studio Oldham. Hughes' signed Spartan front cover has some life breathed into it when opening the booklet, wherein a revelatory and significantly more detailed picture is revealed, which is what we've already said. Thanks are offered, among others, to the Steve Morse band who supported them on this particular tour. Jeff Yankel Berlin, in good bass player. It says Those Darn Fish, Patsy Cline, Lukewarm, and All Cowboys Everywhere.
Who's the Steve Morse band? What's ringing a bell? What did they?
Well, Steve Morse is the guitarist of Deep Purple now, isn't he?
Oh, the
new
the new
new guy, the new guitarist.
The new guitarist that was in the band longer than any guitarist up until that point.
It's still the new guy.
But he's still left. Yeah. He's recently left. Yeah, the blonde hair.
Yeah. But that's him. Yeah, Steve Morse really had his own band, and he was supporting.
You know what? He only actually joined. Purple rang him and just went, "We've got 10 shows, and we're at a bit of a loose end. Can you help us out for 10 gigs?"
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'll jump on board. And
but as always,
10 shows, and I think what did he do? Like 7 albums with them, and
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no other real things. Says something about thanks offered to the Rocking F, which is a fictional band created by the members of Rush to aid them in their writing. It's basically shorthand for simple hard rock. And so rather than going into great detail about how to perform a part, one of Rush's members may just say, let's play this part like Rocking F. Right, okay. So that's all of that. Chart positions. In Canada, it was number 12. UK, number 10. US, 13. So I wouldn't say it sold badly, and it did get a gold record status. It wasn't platinum, it was gold. Tour wise, again, not a massive tour, slightly longer than Power Windows, which was 73 dates and only toured in North America. On this tour, 77, between 29th of October 87 through to 5th of May 1988. They did do a few dates over here in Europe, but I didn't see them. At this point in my life, I was getting ready to get married, so I was a little bit preoccupied. And indeed, I would never see Rush again until this century, in the noughties. They played seven shows here in Britain, one in Holland and two in Germany, and that was the European leg of the tour. Most of it again.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot of European tours.
No, they didn't. They didn't do an awful lot. This was the first time they'd been to Europe for quite a while. They didn't tour Grace Under Pressure. They didn't tour Power Windows over here, and they did just a few dates on this particular tour. And of course, we will get to it, but obviously, Hold Your Fire is the tour that the live album A Show of Hands is from.
Yeah, which we will be covering.
Yeah, we will be covering, but that's taken from this tour. So sort of just want to remember. You just digging that out? Yeah, that's it. That's the name.
I'll say we're going to make our way through the studio albums, and then there's no point in doing a show per live album. So
no. We just
at the end is just doing out a show of all the live albums, and we'll go through them album by album, DVD by DVD, just like we now going by song by song.
Yeah.
So
the just the other bit of information when I was looking up about this, with regards to the tour of this album, they played 6 songs off of it, which was Turn the Page, Prime Mover, False 10, Time Stand Still, Mission, and Lock and Key. They were the ones they played to promote the album.
Oh, I can't believe they didn't do Tai Shan. I'd have been gutted.
No, I know. There we go. There we go.
Got some bloke out on a flute. I'm out of beer, so I'm resorting to iced tea now.
Oh, right. Okay. You've drunk all that beer, to drown your sorrows about this album?
It's not. That's the annoying thing about this album, is that it's not a complete stinker. It's not.
It's not. That's
which makes it thingy, because you don't want to go too harsh on it, but at the same time, you find yourself defending something that isn't that great, and then you go, well, and then you find yourself going, well, it ain't that bloody bad, for God's sake, and you go, no, it's all right, and then you find yourself going, no, you're just, know.
Yeah, it would have been a better album if the last 2 songs were not there.
It's not Metallica's St. Anger or Morbid Angels, Divinius, Insanius, Insantos, whatever the fuck it was called. That's an album as well that I've seen a few people put articles out going, it's actually not that bad. Like, it is that bad.
Yeah.
Stop trying to look clever.
Yeah. Stop
being nuanced. It's sometimes a cigar is a cigar and a turd is a turd. And but it's just, to me, this album's just a bit, they had to make an album. They were just clocking in on this one, I'm afraid. Yes,
well, that is how it comes across. But like we both said, you've got a few flashes of brilliance on this album, a couple of nice songs. But I think ultimately it's not one of their best. In fact, probably some people would say it's probably their worst.
Yeah, it's competent.
Yeah, it's competent, but it's probably, some would say it's probably their worst album. They would say it was their worst. I would say I would prefer Caressa Still to this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, no, I prefer Caressa Still to this album, definitely.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's it. I dare say there will be some strong disagreements with them statements, but
here we go.
They're entitled to their opinion, as we are. So,
and your opinion we want to hear. So, like I say, this is your show as much as it is ours. What do you think of Hold Your Fire? Do you think it should be melted down for glue, or do you think it is an underrated gem, just like our good friend in this spin article, Angel? Yeah, and like I say, we are working our way through the catalogue. We're doing an album at a time per show. This is where me and Paul work together, but this is what we do as we do our changeover shift, and we have a drink and a chat about the Rush album that we've been listening to that week, and we're looking forward to working our way all the way through. But we want you to join us on this journey. Do you listen to this episode, listen to the show as an introduction and then listen to the album, or do you listen to the album yourself and listen to us as an afterthought? You can do it however way you want. You can chop in and jump in wherever you like. If this is your first episode, welcome aboard. Do it with us. Go back to the beginning and work your way through like we are. And we are your companions as you work your way through the catalogue. And if you're new to Rush, then yeah, this would be fantastic, and we'd be honoured to be your introduction, your guide through the world of Rush. So yeah, next week we are moving. We've got one more 80s album to do.
Yeah, it's the last one.
Week, we are doing Presto. I am finished with this box set, and I'm now moving on to this box set. So we are getting through bit by bit, and we've got a couple of solo albums and side projects to do on the way as well. So there's plenty left in the tank.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching, and thank you for joining us, and we want you to carry on with us. So we'll see you next time for Rush Presto. And yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys, and take care. Have a good week, and we will see you all soon.
Yeah. Cheerio, folks. Have a great week. Catch up with you soon.
Take care.
Bye.